Alrighty, you're listening to WCSB Cleveland at 9.3 FM. My name's Randy Allar. I got the Fusion Show, and what are we doing? Well, we're going to give you a quick rundown on what you're listening to. A couple of them by Bob Sworaski. Yeah, I'm telling you, this guy's diverse. Well, you know, he's calling it the Genre Project, but I don't know about genres. This guy's all over the place. But Bob called in, and he'll be calling us back in just a couple minutes, so we'll be making it quick. We heard something entitled Guilty Pleasures, the title track from the new CD, and before that, Friday Night with Ben. Then, Tempest, a band called Tempest, and they are a very kind of, I guess, Scottish, Irish, rock fusion kind of thing. They had an older CD, something called The Double Cross. We heard one called Vision Quest. Derek Sherade before that, something called 5 Elements from the Oceana CD. Mark Murdoch featuring Mr. Joe Berger and John Goodsall on guitar, Percy Jones, Toss Panos, and of course, Mark Murdoch doing the drumming on there. And we heard something entitled Meridian Fault Line. The CD's called Symbolic Encounters, and that catches you up to speed. Now I got one more. That's right, one more. We're going to be speaking to Mr. Bob Sworaski, and we'll see you in just a couple minutes. You're listening to WCSB Cleveland, 89.3 FM. Here's something entitled Ideology. righty, you're listening to WCSB Cleveland at 9.3 FM, and I do have to apologize to Mr. Bob Sworaski. I screwed up. I tried doing things like really cool, okay? I tried to be like really svelte with what I was doing, like leaving it in the continuous play mode. And then after I played the first two tracks, was going to just pause it, turn down the volume, do my back announcing, and then bing, right into ideology. Worked on paper anyway. So we heard detonation. Anyway, speaking of Bob Sworaski, Bob, hello.
Hey, how you doing, Randy?
I'm doing great.
I hear the weather's not that good out there, but...
No, it's not, but I can't really feel it from inside the studio, so I guess I'm okay.
That's right. But yeah, I'm good, man.
Fantastic. And, I got to ask you now, you got this CD out, Bob Sworaski, or The Generation Project. And
Genre Project.
I'm sorry, the Genre Project, yes. Yep. Guilty Pleasures. That's all confusing. So let's start right at the beginning. Bob Sworaski or The Genre Project. What are we looking up to find it?
You can tag on any of it in most places, but either my name, the project, or the Genre Project are usually the ones that pull it up. I basically go with the Genre Project because I really appreciated the musicians in it and everything else, and the only reason I put my name in small print at the top is because I'm the one that kind of wrote all the music and everything else, but the Genre Project is the main core of the whole project.
Okay, I'll go with that. Yeah, that works. I didn't expect that, but okay.
Yeah, basically what I heard you referring to in the show and like saying the CD is, and it's like from smooth jazz to almost hardcore fusion. Basically, I decided that I wanted to like go into slightly different genres of thematic things that I had in my head, but I wanted, even though it was in slightly different genres, I wanted to still have a style, and hopefully my style, and that's what I tried to do.
Well, I guess you're all over the place, but it works. It works very well. A fantastic CD. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Randy. I appreciate it.
I do have to complain about the cover, though. It's you with this giant, beautiful acoustic piano. Mm-hmm. So it almost looks like a traditional jazz or a smooth jazz kind of record. And it is definitely not that.
I know. I've gotten two schools of thought on that. The women love it. and I've gotten compliments on the picture, and then some people have said, when you put on the CD, it's like, I think I'm going to hear this regular jazz, and there's one or two things, and he says, then I'm kind of like drawn into it. So I guess it works in two different ways, but I like the picture, and the photographer and the designer that did it, I thought they did a great job. So
yeah, they did. Very nice job. Now, what about some of the guys you had playing on this? You had a lot of great musicians as well.
Yes, I did, and that took me a while. A couple are... Well, let me give you a little bit of background, if you don't mind. Basically, this whole project wouldn't have came together unless a person that you know well, who is no longer with us, Mikkel Caldwell, and I were very good friends, and he put me in touch with the Detroit connection, and Mikkel kind of inspired me to say to get off my butt and, do my thing. And that's where I met Eddie Cohen, which I know is a good friend of yours.
Absolutely,
and Eddie, yeah, Eddie played bass on two of the tracks, and his style was kind of unmistakable in it on the fretless. And then I met Greg Tyler out of that connection, who's the drummer on all the tracks, who to me is the best drummer I ever played with. He's very, very good. And my best friend, one of my best friends in life, Tony Monzo, did all the electric guitars on there, or most of the electric guitars on there, and he is a really interesting guy, and, we've known each other's families and everything for a long time, and he can play anything from country picking to flat-out acid jazz, you know what I mean? So it was really fun for us to work together. In fact, he was the co-writer on Ideology, When You Play the Right Track.
Had to get that dig in, didn't you?
yeah. And I have two other bass players on there. John Shively, who I've worked in other bands and I still play with once in a while down here, who's more of a funk and R&B player, but he really enjoyed doing the reggae kind of things in one of the songs there. And Shake and Doye, I'm sure you know who Shake is.
Absolutely. Shake's a wonderful human being.
Yeah, Shake played on It's Time and probably would have did an acoustic bass part for me on the one thing, but he ended up in L.A. working with members of the Yellow Jackets doing his solo CD, so I couldn't get him to do that. But Luke Wolfram, who did almost all the acoustic guitars on the record, Luke is actually the best friend of my son, who I've known since he's been 8 years old. And he learned to be a pretty damn good guitar player, and it was really fun to work with some young people because I wanted some young influence in with the seasoned guys, you know what I mean? And it really gave a fresh approach on some of the things that he did. And also I had Joshua Thompson, who did, and you might know Joshua. Joshua used to live in Detroit, and he's part of that connection too. He's now down in Austin, Texas. And he did the sax parts on the one smooth jazz track that's on there, and I appreciate all of them. I mean, they all just kick butt on the CD, and they did it with style. I mean, they adapted to everything that I came up with, and we worked very well together. They put ideas in that, you know, I wouldn't have thought of, and I put in some ideas. I know Tony, the guitar player, said to me, he goes, "Those keyboard riffs you're having me cover," he says, "man, they're almost impossible on guitar." But he said it gave him an education to learn how to look at it a different way. So that was pretty interesting. But that's basically the guys that played on the record, and I'm really proud of them. And without them, I wouldn't have what I have.
Yeah, the guys really did hammer this disc out. They really did a great job. It is a great sounding record, especially when you play the correct tracks. It really does sound great.
Thank you.
What can I say?
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. I did most of that in my own studio, and then I had it professionally mastered. But most of the mixing was done by myself. Tony Monzo did some of it, and yeah, we've been working on it a long time, and I think it came out good. I felt pretty good about the end result, and it's pretty punchy, and everything's in there.
Really, it really is. It's a very diverse record. There's a lot of different feels, a lot of different things. I found that nothing is stagnant, where, for me anyway, some of the smooth jazz stuff can be very stagnant. Mm-hmm. A record that has one or two smooth jazz songs, especially for something that you're not looking at as a smooth jazz record, I don't have a problem with. It just gives it a different feel. But, I mean, this is one of the most diverse records, and I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, you're all over the place, but you're consistently doing, I guess, what the right thing would be for a listener. It sounds great. I love the record. Mm-hmm. You've done a great job, and I haven't given it enough of a diverse airplay. I've been hitting Detonation heavily.
Right.
Because that's probably the heaviest track. That one fits this format the best, but you know, just about the entire record can be aired on this show as I'm doing today. Yeah,
well, it's interesting because that's what you're saying is exactly what I was trying to do. When I was in London, I did a feature over there, and it was actually on a 21st Century Soul station, and it fit into what they did too, because they were, you know, they did some funk stuff and some, you know, reggae stuff and everything else, and it kind of fit in between what they were doing, and it was really great to do that. I think when we talked yesterday, I mentioned to you that, you know, one of my things that I'd like to do is write for film and write for that type of thing. And I have a guy that has been a friend of mine for about a year, all of a sudden let me know, and he goes, I got movie presidents in Hollywood. A guy's name's Aaron Dalton. He says, send me some press kits. I'll send them out. So they went out last week, and we're going to see what happens. So the diversity hopefully keeps the same style, but the diversity is part of me. And that's basically what I tried. What you just said about the record is what I wanted people to think about it.
Yeah, it seems to be what you were gunning for, and you got exactly what you were trying to do with it. The thing is, it just, the sound quality, I mean, especially for somebody that did this in their home studio, the quality is excellent. It really is a well, the performances, what can I say? Everything I play pretty much has just incredible musicianship. But this one sounds great. It's just a really punchy, really lively sounding disc.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time working on that in my studio till 4 a.m. Believe me, that's the musician's dilemma.
Well, it was worth the time you put into it because it does sound that good.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Randy. That's what I was shooting for. I wanted it to be that commercial quality that somebody could go, man, that's pristine. You know what I mean? Regardless of what they thought of that.
Well, you've always been a musician, but you kind of stepped away from working on, especially your own stuff, for a number of years to raise a family and establish yourself in other ways, and now you've come back with a vengeance.
Yes, I have. I had somebody kick me in the ass and say, you know what, you've been playing around with this stuff in your computer, get it done.
Yeah, it's really funny. I told our old friend, Mikkel Caldwell, the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what he said to me.
Well, you know what? I indirectly did that to you now because I told that to Mikkel and he was passing it along.
Yeah, and I'm passing along too, and it is really I got so many ideas right now, Randy, just from doing this record and working with it that I just don't have the time to put them all down. You know what I mean? It's just like you want to spend 18 hours a day sitting in there sketching out ideas, but as you know, the record part in a way is easy. It's what comes after that's hard.
Yeah, it is. It is. Once you got the record out and you've spent all the money to get the record out, now you have to get people to find out about it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm working on. And hey, I really appreciate the opportunity from you too. That helps a lot. And while I was waiting to get on, I got a message from a friend saying he can get me on 2 other interviews. So, one out in Colorado and one out in L.A. So I'm like, yeah, I'm interested. Okay.
Perfect. Take him up on every bit of it.
I'm going to do that. And, I knew of your show. I listen almost every week because of Eddie. Eddie turned me on to you a good while ago.
So now we got to blame Eddie for this. Okay.
Yeah, you got to blame Eddie for this. But, I was out in Detroit, and I met Mikkel and Eddie and all those guys about 2 years ago, or a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago now. And I just want to do a shout-out. I know Eddie's dad has been ill and in and out, and he's doing better now. And I met his dad when I was out there. So, Eddie, I hope your father gets well.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't realize.
Yeah, his father's been kind of in and out in the hospital, and he messaged me last night saying he's doing much better, and
wonderful.
I think he's home. So,
oh, great, great.
I thought you would want to hear that too, because
you
know Eddie pretty well.
Eddie's a great guy.
He is a great guy.
Eddie's the best. And I remember when Eddie was when I first was introduced to Eddie, he was working in cover bands, so his chops were basically rock. And with the way Mikkel was writing music, it was obscene how difficult Mikkel's writing was. And Eddie stepped up to the plate and has become that much better a musician just by, I guess, everybody just talking a little bit about it and kind of throwing different ideas at him. Eddie has upped his game extensively. What a wonderful bass player he is.
Yeah, well, it helped me up my game, too, because I played on 5 tracks on Ethics versus Logic by Mikkel. And we did a track called Sunset Shadow with Damien Erskine and him, and some of the chords I was playing on organ I've never even envisioned in my life. But I asked Mikkel to chart out some of them, so I phrased them differently, and it was like, wow, I didn't even know I could do that. You know what I mean? So, it upped my game, too. It really did, playing with him. And he was, not only that, he was a great man in his own way.
Yeah, he was. He's a lot of fun to deal with. We miss him just sorely. Horrible.
I do, too.
And he definitely left his mark on everybody.
Yes, he did. He left it on my heart, man.
Yeah. So we definitely miss Mikkel. And I know Detroit is still reeling from the loss of Mikkel Caldwell.
Mm-hmm.
But, what else can we say? And, I'm going to get even with Mikkel someday because he sent me all the tunes, so I have the burns of the tunes. But I actually don't have a licensed product. And I've been trying to find it online where I can buy it, and I'm having trouble. I can't find it.
Yeah.
I wanted a copy, basically a licensed copy. It would be great to be able to bring it down here and know who's playing on what song.
Yeah, is that which CD was that on?
Oh, on Ethics. Ethics versus Logic. I do not have a with the artwork and the compositional credits and things.
Mm-hmm. I have one.
Hang on to it. It's like
I will.
hen's teeth.
You might want to talk to Eddie about that. He may have one too.
I'm probably going to have to bother Eddie. I hate to bother Mikkel's wife.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
I think it's time that we're going to have to basically talk to Brenda, Mikkel's wife, about getting the CD sent out to some of the retail places because people are looking for the record.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a great way to carry on Mikkel's legacy.
Yes, it is. And if you notice on my CD, I pay tribute to him on the back of the CD.
Yeah, you do. That's wonderful. So does Eddie. So that was it was very important.
Mm-hmm.
Where can people find your CD?
Well, it's basically at all the usual places. CD Baby, it's actually, I made it cheaper. I made it on sale for the month of February, and I'm extending that in honor of my mother's birthday on Groundhog Day. I've lost her about 10 years ago, but it was one of those, you know what? She supported me the whole time, so I'm going to get it out there. So CD Baby, Amazon, Google Music, iTunes, RDO. I mean, it's on Spotify, it's on Rhapsody. I mean, everything you could think of is pretty much there, both in download form and the CD. The CD is, if you want to see my picture, buy the CD.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he's such a chick magnet with that piano on the cover. Well, I couldn't resist.
Go for it.
I know. Now I got to ask you, downloads or the actual physical CD? What do you prefer?
Well, I prefer the physical CD because I'm kind of old school. I used to own the vinyl albums and everything else, and you kind of want something in your hand. And there's always, a little piece or a sentence on there or some artwork or something in anybody's CD that, you kind of hang on to and you remember it. When you do a download, it's like, yeah, music's great, but it kind of disappears into your computer, and yeah, it's on your playlist, it's on your iPod, it's on everything else, but it's just not in your hand. That's just me. But
absolutely,
as far as the electronic age and the younger people and everything else, they prefer the downloads because they just roll them into that technology, and there it is.
Well, the younger generation, they're just not audiophiles the way we were. I mean, it was great to go out and buy a record. And you got this giant, you got the vinyl with the giant packaging, and they opened up and you could look and read and find things out. And I mean, half of what I know, I have learned just by simply reading the packaging for the records.
Yeah. A lot of those vinyl album covers ended up being art, and they're still collectibles today.
Yeah, if somebody comes to Cleveland and I want to get an autograph, I will definitely have them autograph, if I have the vinyl, autograph that, and then I'll end up hanging that up on the wall.
I've done that once or twice myself.
I bet, yeah.
You squeeze yourself in there and whatever else. But I'll tell you what, I'm meeting a lot of people now. My trip to London, I met a lot of great musicians. It's a wonderful town for music. I mean, it's incredible for music over there, especially jazz. Excuse me. And I was out every night till like 2, 3 in the morning, just going to jazz clubs and meet musicians. A couple of people wanted me to stay and play during the week and everything else. And I was like, you know what? I missed the flight. It's going to cost me another $300. One of those deals. But, I enjoyed the city so much. I got to see Abbey Road. I got my picture taken out of the zebra.
Oh, wow.
At Abbey Road, which I actually should post on Facebook or something because it's a pretty cool thing. But I'm hoping to go back there someday because I made some connections over there. And believe it or not, well, you would probably believe it because you know that. I say a bulk of my sales and especially downloads have been Europe and Asia. And I think a lot of the European countries are much more rounded in a lot of different things and genres that they get into rather than, very top 40, cookie cutter type of stuff. Now, we're kind of purist in the jazz and the fusion and everything else, but the general population of young people coming up is basically, hey guys, here it is. This is what you're going to like this year. So I know that's rather harsh, but I think the Europeans and the people in London and the people in Asia have a much more open palette for different types of music than a lot of the American culture does. Do you agree with that?
I would bet on it. Absolutely. I agree with everything you're saying there. It's, here in the States, if you're fortunate enough to listen to anything other than like a top 40 or the country type of formats, it's really a very, very small cross-section. You don't get much.
Yeah.
So now my wife and I had went on a small trip over the weekend, and we were listening to Sirius Radio. And her tastes are not quite where mine are at, but she's actually learning. She's I'll tell you a great story, and she'll probably hate me for saying it, but she's getting better. We listen to a lot of the 70s and 80s rock stuff that we both, 60s, 70s, 80s, a little bit of Elvis.
I grew up with it too.
Yeah, but the problem is, jazz on Sirius Radio stinks. I'm sorry. I don't like it.
Yeah, you have to search because you'll see 17 other stations like the Bruce Springsteen channel and the Rolling Stones channel and everything else.
Yeah.
And then jazz, you'll have 6 that are like not too diverse from each other.
And there's nothing that deals with the style of music that you're playing. That kind of a little edgier type of jazz. There's nothing. And it is this style of music that I am playing, that I've been doing for the last almost 29 years, it falls into a giant hole, and it's never heard from again.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing that nobody has ever taken the bull by the horns or any other part of the bull and has made this a commercial format or even tried to do something with it. And it amazes me. Because there's an audience out there. There's a lot of people that are interested.
Well, I'll tell you what's funny. I have gotten a lot of people, now I'm not saying the teenagers, but I've turned a lot of people on that have actually said to me that are in their late 20s and early 30s that's saying, yours isn't really jazz. It's like, it's jazz, but it's got this cool thing going on, and I'm saying, oh man, I'm starting to get some 28, 30, 32-year-olds, you know what I mean, that are turned on to the idea that you could do something different, that you can actually relate to. Now, I wish I could get a bigger audience of that, but I've noticed that that's happened, and I hope it can happen more and more, because I think as these people get into that type of thing, they're going to realize, hey, there's a lot more than, Justin Bieber and everybody else out there. You know what I mean?
Well, I can't get enough of Justin. Absolutely. I live for that stuff.
Yeah, well, you're going to get the wig and look just like him, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I got to finish my story now. You're going to love this, okay?
All right, go ahead.
We had gone to Washington because my wife says, well, we should probably go. I don't know if I want to go. I'm kind of kicking it around. So we ended up buying tickets, and we drove down to the Howard Theater in Washington to see Etienne Mbappe, the bass player for John McLaughlin.
Right, yeah.
Keith Carlock, the drummer. Wayne Krantz, Michael Landau, and Jimmy Herring.
All right, that's a pretty good mix.
Oh, my goodness. So this is the band. And, we were wondering, this was put together by a record label, and they just put it together to have 5 shows with this unbelievable band. And we said it's either going to go like mad, or it's going to fall flat and just crash and burn horribly because of the how high profile the musicians are.
Right.
Well, it turned out that they didn't do any of the trading heads thing where, well, now it's my turn. Right. They didn't do any of that. Nothing like that. They played wonderfully together. Nobody stepped on anybody. The band, everybody was respectful of the other players. They all did each other's compositions. Everybody soloed. It was really an amazing, amazing event. I have to say, I was blown away. I think somebody liked it more than I did, and that was my wife.
Oh, good.
She was absolutely flattened at how good everybody was, from Wayne Krantz to ETN to Keith Carlock, Jimmy Herring, and Michael Landau. She loved every bit of the whole performance. Matter of fact, we had a place to sit. You couldn't sit very well. She actually got up and went somewhere else where she could see better. So she got to see the whole show, where I, like an idiot, had to stay and pay the check, so I couldn't leave because they think we're trying to run out on them.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that exactly what you said there, that I tried to do on the record, and what I really loved about the musicians I used on the record were, nobody really stepped on each other. There were specific parts in there for everybody, and it was all their input. So there's no, nobody's better than the other person. It was made and put together as a group effort, even though it was written by me, to all come together, you know what I mean, and be smooth without stepping on anybody or anything else, and being a theme and everybody working towards that. And I think live, and when you get good musicians together, if you can do that, you set the stage for something really, really nice. I mean, it's like a team working together, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I could see with a record, it would be a little easier to make that happen because you can get each person to perform, spontaneously the way they would want to sound.
Right.
And they can do their thing. Then you just have to take and arrange the pieces together of each of their performances to make it one creative, project. The problem would be in you having to put it all together, not to have somebody standing out over somebody else. And I think with the Genre Project, you did that very well. Well,
thank you. That's part of what I tried to accomplish, and I had that in mind right from the very beginning, and I had musicians that were willing to do that too.
Let me remind everybody, you're listening to WCSB Cleveland at 9.3 FM. We're speaking with composer, keyboardist, pianist Bob Sworaski. The CD's called Guilty Pleasures. What a fun CD. You just did a great, great job with it.
Thank you, Randy. I really appreciate it.
How about a website for you, Bob?
TheGenreProject.com. It's about halfway done, but it's going to be done in about a week, but it does have a lot of information on there, and people can go to TheGenreProject.com. I do have a fan page, The Genre Project, on Facebook, which has all the bios. There's a video of Detonation on there. There's a whole bunch of great things on there, so it's The Genre Project fan page. And, those two are areas we could go to that and contact me if you wanted to through those two sites.
Perfect. I do have to laugh. We were talking about this whole technology thing before we went on the air after Ray had screwed up playing the wrong song. And you said Detonation is about basically what?
Well, I hardly watch the news anymore because it just ticks me off.
Well, go to Washington.
Yeah, and I was watching something they were talking about the economic system and the geoeconomics and the geopolitics involved in it and everything else, and I was like, my thought was, someday everything's going to be owned, there's going to be 5 businesses owned by 5 shell corporations with 2 corporations in Dubai somewhere, and it could all blow right up. So when I started writing the song, it was basically about, it's not going to be war or anything else. It's going to be like, I want to just come out crashing, like, the world is just going to explode. I was actually thinking of putting in the front of that a newsman, almost like, I'm as mad as hell and I can't take it anymore type of thing, and have a newscast going, with the stock market down and everything happening and all that. But in that particular song, it comes on like a bomb, and then it goes into that kind of cool reggae part where it's like, let's think about how we can fix this. And then it's like, I don't think it's fixable, and then it just blows out at the end. So that was kind of the inspiration for Detonation.
Well, it's
not as a bomb, but as a, geopolitical economic explosion.
Well, it's funny. No matter how we try to enhance our lives by making it easier to be able to work with the technology, no matter what happens, it seems like every morning I wake up, I have another ache or pain electronically. It doesn't matter. I mean, from, car radios not playing right to not operating CD players correctly, the internet goes down, now you're stuck with that, you're trying to get a hold of somebody, your cell phone goes dead, now I don't have your phone number, trying to call you up to, just no matter what you do, there's always a glitch in everything.
Yep.
And Alan Parsons summed it up best with a record that he put out way, way back in the early 70s called I, Robot.
I remember it.
And that was supposed to be about the machines taking over the planet.
Yep.
And
it was also a book that was basically I, Robot was a short story and then a book by Isaac Asimov, which turned into a movie, which turned into songs, which turned into everything else. So that was kind of the theme of that, too.
Yeah, and the movie pretty much, a very good movie with Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the movie a lot, but it kind of went along exactly the same lines. It wasn't about the robots. You know, it wasn't about iRobot, and it's a happy story. It's about the planet succumbing to the machines.
Yeah. Well, I told you off air when we started, my son now is in his 30s, but when he was 18, he said to me he thought the demise of the world was going to be through technology, not through war. That's a smart kid.
I think he's right, especially with the way everybody is getting hacked with their accounts and different things. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
We've made the technology too good.
Yes, we have, and it's increasing exponentially every year, and I can't even imagine what we're going to see when 10 years down the road.
No, I can't either. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, I want to thank you for spending a few minutes with us today.
I want to thank you, Randy. It's been great, man.
And
you got a great sense of humor, and I appreciate all your thoughts on that. And
well, thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity.
You know, playing the wrong music now, I have to. I have to have a sense of humor.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's technology for you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and that's what it was. It was a technological fumble. I don't know how else to say it. It just,
that's all right.
It didn't do what I expected it to do, what I wanted it to do.
Yep.
And I ended up playing the wrong song because of it. Oh, well.
Well, like I said, I got, hopefully I got people from all over the world listening to this, because I had a lot of texts saying people from Romania and Italy and UK and everything else listening, so we hope you don't break down your server.
Yeah, there you go. No, we're doing good. And, yeah, we see everybody out there, so we wave to everybody on the internet. But, it was really funny because I knew I was going to get that phone call when Bob called back to say, hey, you're playing the wrong song. I knew it was coming. Oh, well.
That's all right. It was still mine, so it's all good. I mean, if you would have put on, Thriller by Michael Jackson, I might have been upset. But
yeah,
okay.
I suppose. I never looked at it like that, but yeah. I was just doing it to see if you were awake.
I'm definitely awake.
Bob, I want to thank you. And as I promised you, Ideology is queued up, and it's correct. It's ready to go.
Okay.
I revamped everything. I reset it so it's ready to play correctly.
All right. Well, thanks, Randy. I appreciate the opportunity. Anything I can do, or you need me for anything, man, you got my number. We can talk anytime.
Absolutely, Bob. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for coming on with the short notice today, and I do apologize about that. But
okay.
We really appreciate it. So thank you so much, Mr. Bob Sworaski. The CD is called Generation Project.
Genre Project.
Why do I keep on saying Generation? I'm looking at it. Genre Project. Guilty Pleasures. At least I got that portion of it right. Guilty Pleasures. But it's the Genre Project. Genre for people that really don't know how to spell genre. That could be a tough one, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's French. What can I say?
Oui. All righty, Bob. I want to thank you. Here's something called Ideology. Well, I played Ideology. Before that was Detonation. And I ended up playing the wrong ones. I half played Detonation. But, well, what can I say? You also heard Guilty Pleasures and something called Friday Night with Ben. Mr. Bob Sworaski. I have to thank Bob for spending some time with us today. What a great, great guy. I'll tell you, I really impressed. He was every bit as nice as his record. So just great to talk to him. And I'm glad he's old school like I am. He likes records and CDs and not all this downloading stuff. But, oh well, what can I say? I'm out of here. Have a good weekend, a better week. Stay warm, stay dry. Herb Irvin going to take you on the anti-urban contemporary thing. He's up next. I have no idea what's happening next week. I am working on getting Michael Clark, Jeff Berlin, and Michael Wolf. That may be next week. It may be the week after. Steve Lukather, unfortunately, is right now with Ringo Starr in Japan. So we could not make that happen. And, yeah, Steve says, well, sorry. Maybe next time. So we'll wait until he gets back from Japan before we start setting anything up. He's going out to Europe and on the road and everything else, so he's keeping busy. But we'll get Steve one of these days with his new record entitled Transition. There you go. I'll talk to everybody again next Friday. Herb up next. He's going to take you on the anti-urban contemporary.